all things Delta and about our intern and analyst opportunities here. So we were going to go through a little bit of overview of Delta, about some of our programs, and then open it up for questions for anything that you all are interested in learning more about. To start, we will have a Q&A portion at the end. So if you want to raise your hand or write your question in the chat, we'll be happy to answer those. I do want to make sure that my team is here: Marcia, Najim, Patrice, and Jennifer.
Jennifer here.
Hey, Jennifer. Awesome.
Patrice is here.
Perfect. So
hi, Marcia, also.
Hey, Marcia. Perfect. So while I'm pulling up the deck, I would love to have each of you introduce yourself. So we can go Jennifer, Najim, Marcia, and Patrice.
Yeah, welcome everyone. My name is Jennifer Apple. I am a CSA alumni. I work in network planning, have been with Delta since 2014 as a co-op and was full-time in 2017. I went to Georgia Tech and graduated in industrial engineering. Super excited to be here.
Hi, this is Najim. I wished I could say alumni because I do love GSU. Actually, my first son just started in GSU this year too. So I can say I have links to GSU. So I'm a general manager with Treasury. I've had quite a few years with about almost 5 years with Delta now, and a couple of years with some other companies. So, but mostly in Treasury. So questions around finance and all, hopefully we can get to answer those for you and let you know what we do at Delta. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marcia Dixon. I have been at Delta for 4 years. I actually have a son who graduated from GSU a couple years ago. So exciting to talk to all of you guys today. I'm in information technology as a program manager. I support a lot of the spaces that deal with data science, data warehousing, and data lake.
Hi, everyone. My name is Patrice. I'm also a CSA alumna. So I started in revenue management for my first rotation, then moved to our sales organization, and now I'm back in RM, working on like big picture competitive projects and supporting different teams across RM.
Awesome. Thank you all for being here. So to kick us off, again, I'm Andrea Thomas. I am with Talent Acquisition. So I partner with all of these awesome people here at Delta to hire talented students like yourself for some of these awesome programs we're going to chat through. So with that, I will kick it over to Najim to talk a little bit about Delta.
All right. Probably I can talk about Delta forever. So Andreas told me I only have 2 minutes, so I'm going to try to make the most of it. But the first key thing is, since, and I'll start with this statement, since 2014, Delta has been on one of Fortune's most admired companies. And do you know what it is to get to cut even Fortune's list, not to talk of the most admired companies? So this slide does it the best. You know, we don't just try to be the most admired companies. We want to be the most reliable, the most preferred, the most admired. Like I mentioned again, you know, why did I mention admired a couple of times? Because we really care about our customers. We care about what they think. We care about, it's not just about making money. It's about providing that service that people really do appreciate. And of course, it pays to be profitable because then we can return the money back to take care of all of you wonderful employees of Delta. So those are some of the things that we do. But all of this together makes us one of the most admired airlines. And you could see here, why are we one of the most admired airlines? We've got about 1,100 aircraft that takes us to 300 destinations all across the world. When we say 300 destinations, it's not just 300 in one place. It covers 50 countries, 6 continents. Where do you want to go? Now, the key thing is, one of the things I wanted to point out to you earlier is it's not that you're going to find a Delta airline in every single country. But we have partners that we do, and I think a couple of the partners are down here for you, you know, be with Virgin Atlantic, Air France, Aeromexico, WestJet. Those are some of the partners that we do work with to be able to cover quite a few of the countries that Delta does not reach. So effectively, if you are a Delta customer, you can reach any country, any destination you want, anywhere in the world. The hubs that they have listed here on the slides, you will see is just a couple of the locations where we have a huge presence, where we have planes coming in, planes going out, and we have quite a bit of logistics there. But altogether, I think the key, if there's anything you should take away from this slide, is the fact that we have over 15,000 daily flights. Every day we have over 15,000 flights, either taking off or coming down. That's a lot of flights between us and our partners. And annually, 200 million customers. I'm sure most of you are part of them. Then again, what are the things we're trying to keep our eyes on? You all know how tough things have been for us for the past 1 year. It's not just Delta, it's not just the airline industry, it's everybody. 2020 was a tough year for us. Before 2020, we were hitting the best heights we could ever hit. And post 2020, we're also trying to, I mean, if you look at our records already, third quarter 2021, we're supposed to declare the first profit this coming quarter. Now, coming back from how bad things were in 2020, where we were leaking, you know, how many hundreds of millions we were losing per day because all our flights were down. Now we're back to profitability in third quarter. That shows not just a lot of composure, it shows a lot of dedication. It shows the fact that we do have a good base that we can work with. So we're customer focused. We care about our brand a lot. We want our customers to be well taken care of. When you hear Delta, we want you to think about the best service possible. We're global, and we're going to keep saying that. You hear that over and over and over again. We are global. We care about you going out. Knowledge is power. And that's something that Delta can provide you. Delta can take you to different parts of the world, get as much knowledge as you can, and be power. And we want you to be part of this journey with us. Thank you.
We got a really nice overview about Delta from Najim. So now we want to talk a little bit about some of our undergrad programs. We have a few, but some we're going to talk through today include commercial strategy, finance, IT, and sales. And so would love to have Jennifer take us through the commercial strategy program, as well as just a quick overview of the programs, and then we'll have more detail of how they're actually structured.
Yeah, so as you guys know, the Commercial Strategy Analyst program really deals with the revenue generating, like, core departments of the company. And so we've got a quick list of the different departments that you would potentially rotate within. So there's revenue management, and revenue management has both inventory and the pricing side. And so inventory, I kind of think of it as, you know, they're the people that are getting butts in seats. And then the pricing side is the one that are coming up with pricing strategies and making sure that we are executing on our strategies across our entire network. And so that might mean, you know, matching a different carrier based on our schedule versus their schedules, different strategies of that sense. Then you've got network planning, which really deals with deciding where our airline flies, what kind of aircraft we have on certain markets. You know, maybe we want to fly to a new market. They come up with analyses to figure out whether it'll be profitable or not for Delta, and whether we would want to do something like that. You've got the sales side, which is sort of understanding, you know, what customers we want to sell to. So, you know, they deal a lot with, like, the corporate side, figuring out what companies we want to partner with in terms of corporate agencies and that sort of thing. And so the CSA program in particular offers an internship as well as the full-time rotation. The internship is a 10-week program. And then the post-grad program is a 3-year program with 2 different rotations that are a 1.5 years each. And it can be, you know, based on business need within any of these departments. And I think Patrice will walk you through what the program structure looks like. And then just quickly on the finance side. So finance really deals with, you know, the increasing and enhancing our profitability for the company. So whereas, you know, the commercial side is more revenue generating departments, finance really looks at kind of the whole picture, you know, our cash flow analysis and all that kind of stuff for the company as a whole. And then it also has several different departments that you can work in. So we've got, like, divisional finance, we've got treasury, those kind of things. And so if you're interested in either of those, we've got links up for that on delta.com/careers for both the internship side and the full-time side. The deadline to apply is this Friday, September 17th. And yeah, we're super excited.
Awesome. So we're going to have Patrice kind of maybe walk us through the structure, and then Jean walk us through the finance structure.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Andrea and Jennifer. So the CSA program would be a 3-year commitment out of school. So you join once you graduate, and the program lasts 3 years. And within those 3 years, you do 2 18-month rotations. So when you join, you'll get put in one area, and then at the 18-month mark, you'll rotate to, you do have the option to stay in place, but most people rotate to a different part of the organization. And the way this is structured, you'd be an associate analyst, come in, and then you'd rotate to be an associate analyst too. And then at the end of the program, you'd be eligible, like pending good performance, to qualify as a senior analyst. And with that, you could either stay in the role you're in or explore other roles. But the really cool thing about the way this program is structured is, like, really early on in your career, just 3 years in, you'll have exposure to 2 different work groups. And that's really good experience to have under your belt, like, super early in. And, like, the types of candidates we look for is just, like, candidates with, like, strong analytical skills and problem solving skills, to just be willing to dive in and ask questions and learn more. And then, like, good written and communication skills. So in a lot of the different organizations Jennifer described, we do have, like, presentations we do, or you might have to communicate what's going on to your leaders. So those verbal skills are, like, really strong. And then just the desire to, like, learn more about Delta, about the industry, about your role, and then grow more at the company. Those are just things we're looking for in candidates.
Awesome. And then to a little bit more about the finance program. Jean?
Correct. So I think Jennifer and Patrice actually covered quite a bit of some of what we're looking for. I mean, finance is the lifeblood of any organization. I can express that strongly enough. Now, most of the time when people think about Delta, they don't think about a finance career. That's interesting. You know, you're thinking about pilots, you're thinking about flight attendants, and all of those glitzer things. The finance is what makes things really, really go. Finance is how we're able to look at the top line, we're able to look at the revenue, we're able to think of the bottom line and the profitability of the company. How long the company is in existence depends on how well we're able to get a margin, build that profitability out. Finance is what helps us do that. And you can be a part of that journey. Now, a couple of things that I always say, and if you notice too, when you're looking at the other programs, we have kind of the same similar requirements. We're really looking at people who are analytical in thinking. It's critical for this industry. And I'm sure most of you have your problem solving skills. It's something you could build up if you don't have a lot of it yourself. You know, some people have come to me and say, you know, I don't know how analytical I can think through things, but these are things that we can train you to do. Your written and oral communication skills are things that you bring to the table. Our expectation is, as you're going through your years in college, work on this, work on your written skills, work with your friend for your oral skills. Those are things that you can develop too. You don't have to be perfect, but we want to be able to see you on the right trajectory. And then adapting well to change, you bet. Look at the last 2-3 years. We've all had to adapt to a lot of change. And leadership is something I always stress. Anybody coming into the finance career has to have that leadership tweak to you, because it's what drives you. You know, it goes into the core values that we have at Delta. Integrity, honesty, perseverance. We want those who will keep driving no matter what happens. Now, a career in finance, if you're interested in a career in finance, there are 3 ways you can get into finance at Delta. One is like Jennifer said, you could come in through internship. The BBA program is one way, as you coming out as a senior and you actually want to join Delta as a graduate. Then, of course, you could come in as an experienced finance person, you know, somewhere mid-career at that point. But this focus here is on the BBA program. So BBA program is actually 3 years. I mean, similar to commercial program. You have what we're doing is we're bringing you in, you make a commitment to 3 years. During those 3 years, between a year and 2 years, you get to move. So within 3 years, you've had at least 2 jobs. Now, where you actually start in finance depends on what the needs are. Do we have an opening in trade? Is it going to be in treasury? Is it going to be in revenue management? Is it going to be in some other areas of finance? Is it financial control? It depends on where we have a role, but trust me, it doesn't matter where you start. Wherever you start, you get really, really good hands-on skills. And within 2 years, you become a specialist. That is very quick, I'll be very honest with you. That is very fast. That's a lot of knowledge we're packing into you within that period. But the expectation is after your 3-year commitment, you could decide what you want to do. Do you want to go more into a different line? Do you want to go more into the sales area? It's really up to you, but we would have given you the basics at that point. All right.
And I want to highlight for the commercial strategy program, correct me if I'm wrong, Patrice and Jennifer, the first rotation is typically in revenue management or network planning. So you really get the foundational understanding of the airline industry. And then the second rotation typically in a kind of a marketing or sales, where you can kind of get the more customer facing for the knowledge that you've learned from that first rotation. And then finance is more so divisional and then functional based in terms of the role. So it could be the airport customer service doing treasury, or it could be IT doing financial reporting. So you kind of get a bit of a balance with either of those programs.
Thank you, Andrea.
Awesome. So Marcia, for the more technical side around information technology, but love for you to talk through the IT intern program and then kind of your role specifically as well.
Definitely. So like Jennifer was talking about before, we have the commercial side. Our IT area supports the commercial side and helps with those revenue generating business partners. So any of the externally facing applications that you may see, delta.com, Fly Delta apps, our IT teams will support that. We also have some of the internal, not some, but a lot of internal applications that support our operations side that we don't, that aren't externally facing to our customers. One thing about IT, and this also goes back to my journey as I'm a program manager now. I started out as an intern into IT also. I thought that I wanted to be a developer going in. I started out as a business analyst, and I kind of stayed down that analyst path. So you don't have to be in IT only a developer. You don't have to only learn how to code. There are other roles in IT that takes your skills from, if you like to do some, analytics or data science or some other things where you don't have to just be a heads down focused on coding. But we do have 2 opportunities where we have our internship, which is like a 12-week program that starts around the summertime. And that could be, I think it's usually part-time, and Andrew, you can correct me with that, but I think the internship is maybe more part-time than full-time. But then we also have the co-op program, which is a cooperative education. So this program is a full-time program where we have students who will alternate between their academic semester and then come at Delta and do hands-on training for a semester at Delta. We ask that students at least commit to 2 semesters of some of the hands-on training. And the good thing about both of these programs is that although the co-op is a little longer, you have hands-on training for both of them. There's opportunities where you can take what you learn at school and apply them to any of the programs or any of the projects that you're working on within the IT organization.
Yeah, perfect. So both actually are full-time. So the co-op more so would be kind of the spring and fall semesters, while the intern would be in the summer. I think she spoke to it nicely, where we do have more technical. So if you're a developer, analytics, an engineer, but we also have more business analysts. So those can kind of interweave between the more technical requirements, but able to explain it from a business perspective and partnering with the commercial organization. And then also kind of goes a little bit to global sales. So Jennifer mentioned a little bit about it. So this program is a little bit outside of the commercial program, where it's more so focused on the field sales side. So those kind of responsible for maximizing revenue and market share and really building out those relationships with agencies, customers, and travel, kind of the corporate travel managers within certain organizations. And so this internship is really kind of being hands-on, where you can really be a sales account executive as an intern for the summer. And that feeds into the full-time opportunity. And so the program is fairly new, but it has some really great opportunities to learn more about the specific verticals that we have at Delta, but also understanding the corporate side as well as the field sales side of the organization. And so all of these programs, so global sales, IT, commercial strategy, finance, all have intern programs with the goal to convert into full-time opportunities. So you really have a chance to learn the industry while in school as you think about where you want your career to go full-time. In terms of kind of the intern or co-op program, I'd love for Patrice and Jennifer, as Jennifer, you mentioned you were a co-op, to talk through a little bit of kind of the fun perks and things over the summer, building that relationship with your cohort, but also the teams that you support.
Yeah, I'll start. So as I mentioned, I started as a co-op at Delta. I was actually over on the tech ops side, so didn't really have too much insight into the commercial world until my internship once my co-op was over. But I did 3.5 rotations and essentially worked full time for the 6 months and then went to school the following rotation and really loved it. I think it gave me a chance to really dive deep into the group and the type of work that I was doing for the department that I co-opted in. And so, unlike an internship where you sort of have, your summer and then you're done with that, you with a co-op have the ability to really learn what you're doing and build those relationships much deeper just because you keep coming back to the same team. So I really loved that. And as a result of that, actually, that's sort of how I got into my internship was my hiring manager for my co-op ended up moving throughout my time as a co-op and reached out to her if she had any internship opportunities on the commercial side because she had switched to the commercial side. And that's sort of how I landed in network planning and didn't have any insight into network planning. So I mentioned I went to Georgia Tech for industrial engineering, didn't have any aviation experience either prior to my co-op. And so the internships really opened up my eyes to, this whole like revenue generating. We tend to say it at Delta that tech ops is sort of like the cost center. And so I sort of saw the other side, which is, making money for the company, which is, very cool as an intern. And so really loved that too. One of the fun things that I did as an intern, I got to deliver a flight. So we flew to Seattle and got to deliver a 737-900 aircraft, brand new, which was really cool. They sort of do, Boeing has a really nice like setup that they do when you deliver flights. Actually, my water bottle is one from the delivery flight. And so love the internship because it was just, gave you experiences as a college student that I don't think normal college students would otherwise have, right? There's obviously also like the flight benefits and the being able to travel everywhere, which is also a plus.
Yeah, and if I can add on to that a little bit. So I majored in economics and I didn't intern at Delta, but I wish I knew about it because I totally would have wanted to do it. But I started at Delta like fresh out of undergrad, and I started in revenue management, which as an economics major, I thought that it was a super fun, really cool job. But also just to go anywhere else in Delta, I think revenue management's really cool because it shows you in a way, like it's kind of like the bread and butter. Like it shows you like how we sell our products, how do we price our products, where we choose to fly our products, how we choose to fly our products, etc. So, and our products being like plane seats. So it was really cool to start there. It also helps you like learn more about like the industry total because you learn about like your competitors, where they fly, what products they offer. So it was just like a great place to start to just learn just about the industry and Delta overall. And then my second rotation was in sales, which to the points made earlier, like sales is more customer facing and more customer focused. So it was cool to have one rotation where I was really focused on like revenue and trying to maximize revenue and generate revenue. And then coming to sales where it's just completely focused on, making sure your customers are well taken care of and making sure you're still doing competitive things, but it looks different. It's like, how are you taking better care of your customers? Like what advantage do you have over your competitors? So it was really cool to see that area. And then once my program ended, I came back to RM because RM I just thought was super amazing and really fun. And there's a lot of different areas in revenue management overall. So I came back to a new area. But on like the social side and other perks of the program, it's really cool to come into Delta through a program because one, you're not alone. Like you can be starting at this big company, but you have a group of, I don't want to say classmates, but like CSA mates that are brand new like you, so just started, have the same start date as you if you're traveling, so that's not as big of an issue. But you get to come in with like this group of people, so you already know people throughout different areas of Delta. So when you're doing your work, like so many different organizations and areas overlap. So when you're doing your work, you now know someone who's in network or someone who's in sales or marketing. So when you have questions or when you're thinking about your next rotations, you have people you can reach out to be like, hey, can you answer this for me? Or can I shadow you and see what you do? So that's really cool. And then there's also a lot of you guys are either probably from Atlanta or well familiar with Atlanta now, if you're at Georgia State, but Delta and the CSA program also offers ways to like get to know our community better. So we do different volunteer activities around the community, as well as like different social things. So I know when I first started, we went to a Braves game at the new stadium. So that was really cool. Sometimes we'll do happy hours, etc. So if you're new to the city or like still just want to make new friends and like explore more, it also offers like that social aspect as well.
Couldn't agree more. And to kind of go to something a little bit fun, I thought it'd be really nice since we are Delta, and I personally think one of the really great benefits of being here is that not only do you get to work with new and exciting people, work on really great projects that not only impact locally but globally, but you really get to also see how your work is impacting on a global scale. And so of course the past travel, being able to explore the world, as Najim mentioned earlier about our networks, past travel is one, I think, the benefits of being an intern or a co-op that you get to experience. So not just a full-time employee, because you're an employee, as an intern or co-op, you get the perks as well. So love for each of you to share, what has been your favorite non-rev story that you've had with your time at Delta? So we can go, because the way I say it is Jennifer, Najim, Marcia, and Patrice.
Oh man, that's kind of hard. I'd say internationally, I love Amsterdam. It's easy to get to. Everyone's so nice, and the city's just so much fun to walk around with like the canals. So I'd say my favorite non-rev destination is Amsterdam internationally. Domestic, I am a huge national park fan. I love to hike and outdoors, and so my favorite destination is I will fly into Vegas and go to Zion National Park, which is in like southern Utah. Absolutely love it. It's like a different world. It's like being on Mars, and there's some amazing hikes out there. So yeah, those are my two.
Oh, you're on mute, Najim.
I can go next while he's figuring that
Yeah.
out.
Go ahead, Marcia.
Yeah, so I want to say Honolulu. I know it's not international, it's domestic, but the reason why is because, kind of like what Jennifer said, I like being outdoors. So that provides you with the beach, it provides you with the hiking, but one non-rev that I can recall, and it's probably a better story for me than my husband, is whenever you're on non-rev, there is, sometimes as you're showing here, you get to fly in Delta One. So those are like the really comfy, lay back, you're on a long flight and you don't have to sit up straight and you can kind of lay back. The meals are a little bit nicer. And this is also whenever we had the food service and the drink service. And so then at the time, my daughter was under 6. So whenever you're non-rev and you have any kids under 6, they aren't permitted to fly in Delta One or first class at that time for non-rev. Of course, you can buy a rev ticket, but not non-rev. So there were Delta One seats open. And so then we had to like draw straws as to who would be sitting back and, main with my daughter as one of us relaxed up in the front. My husband graciously let me do it, but we said we would switch mid-flight The flight attendant, didn't allow us to do that. I went back there and he was sleeping, so I left him sleeping and I just went back up front and stayed there for the whole flight. So for me, that was one of the non-rev ones that I can remember and enjoy. And it was a really, really nice flight. And Hawaii is also a really nice destination.
All right. Looks like Marcia, you gave me time to think through because it was hard for me to pick one. I'll be honest with you. I kept thinking, is it the Honolulu one? Is it the China one? Is it the Korea one? Now, there's one that I probably won't forget for a long time, and that was the one to South Africa. So this was an interesting one. We're sitting that weekend. We're planning to go down to Dominican Republic. We had a long weekend, about 4 days. This is where it gets started. It was just about 4 days. We didn't even have 5 days. And I sat down with my wife, the kids, and we said, where did we go? We all had the free time. And we're going to do Dominican Republic. And we got to the airport. And when we got to the airport, somehow, this is again, the issue when you're non-revving, you never know what happens with those flights. Somehow we got there and the flights were tight. And, the thought of driving them back home and everybody's going to be real sad and looking down. I was like, okay, Jeff, everybody give me a few minutes, sit down. Let me find flights. And I looked it up and the South African flight was going to be out in another 2 hours. And there were spaces available. So I said, you guys want to go to South Africa? JBOG, let's do it. And right there and then booked the flight, got on the flight, lined up, and in a few hours, now that was my longest flight. That was 15 hours. Tough. But it was 15 hours of fun, we went planning to. And then we got there and the next thing was when the safari in 5 hours. Looking at the lions and looking at it was a fun trip. By the time we came back, it was tight. We had only about 2.5 days to really tour South Africa, get back from JBOG and make it back to the office. I won't tell you if I was sleepy the first day back or not. But this was fun, just to give you an idea of how things could evolve very quickly when those opportunities are there for you.
That's a really exciting story, Neji, and such a difference between flying to the DR and then South Africa. But I would say probably my most favorite non-rev trip. It is hard to pick one, but I would say it's probably like my first international trip with Delta, which was to Paris. And my mom and I went for my birthday, and we both flew Delta One. So one thing you'll get familiar with, which I personally think helps with your job, but you'll learn where we fly to and from where. So we fly from Atlanta to Paris, of course, but we also fly from other places to Paris. So we couldn't get Delta One on Atlanta to Paris. So my mom and I flew to Raleigh, and then we flew through Raleigh to Paris. So you'll find creative ways to try to still get first class. But we did that, and the experience was just so amazing. Delta One was so nice. The food was great. The drinks, and then the actual the live flatbeds and the seats, they were really great. But the crew was also so nice. They found out it was my birthday, and even though it was a non-rev, they were really, really, really sweet to me. And then they gave me a card at the end of my flight that just had happy birthday, and the whole crew signed it, and I just thought it was so sweet. So that's probably my most memorable non-rev trip.
And I just want to add, I believe, and I was thinking about this, that it wasn't Honolulu. We went to Paris too, and we also went from Raleigh because of the Delta One seats. Yes, we went the same route.
My favorite was the same. I took a week off for the first time ever in my adult life and went to Seoul, South Korea with my dad. So I'm basically daughter of the year for the next 10 years because I took him to school. And we also flew on our Korean Air, one of our partners, to Jeju Island. So he's still raving about that trip, even though we've taken probably 10 more international trips together since then. But it was the experience of Delta One, the amazing crew on Delta, but also Korean Air. You really can't beat it when you really think about how much it would have been to get to experience the culture, the people, and the food. It would have cost you thousands. That, in essence, what it cost us to do it on standby was around $50 each. So it was $100 for a trip, and in essence, could have felt like a lifetime. So I think that's one of the awesome perks there. And definitely we flew from Minneapolis to Seoul because I only fly Delta One if we're going to go international. Over 3 hours, we need at least first class. So I think that's one of the awesome things, that if you come to Delta, you get to experience not only from a professional, but a social aspect as well. And with that, definitely want to leave it up for questions. I know that I see a couple in the chat, so we'll try to see how many we can get through. And then we'll also be able to follow up afterwards if there are any major questions that you all might have. So let me see, I'll start with some of the questions. I do 1 or 2 questions, and then if anyone wants to raise their hand, please feel free to do so.
Yes, I do have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
I'm actually a Delta employer, so how that's gonna play out? I'm already an employee at cargo department, but I'm interested in a global sales, but I have not yet completed 6 months. So I understand that that's the criteria. You have to complete like 6 months before you transfer from department to department. Is that right?
I'm sorry, can you say it again? I blurred a little bit.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, could you say it slower? I missed most of it too.
I think he
No, I
was
was
saying
gonna-
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I'm an employee already at Delta Airlines at the cargo department.
Okay.
And I'm kind of interested in the global sales, but I only have 2 weeks, so I'm a brand new employee. I just want to know how the transfer, how does it work out?
So you're in cargo interning, but you want to transfer to global sales. But I think you said you heard that there was a 6-month period before you can transfer, and he's asking, is that correct?
Gotcha. Okay. I would say when you see the global sales post, still apply. And what we would probably do, since you're an internal employee, is work with your manager to see about if there's an opportunity for the summer internship. So it would be for next summer. So that would be well within kind of, be here for almost basically a year before the internship. So what we would do, we just work with your manager on next steps if you're eligible for the program.
Okay, thanks.
And if I may add to, typically if you've already, this is where again, you've accepted an offer in one department, typically they don't like you moving that quickly just because there's an investment that goes into and the fit that goes into trying to match you with that department. That might be where the restriction is coming from. But like Andrea says, it all depends on your manager and what they need you for and what arrangements can be made. But usually you would come across restrictions like that, and that's just because that's more process driven more than anything, Grace. But reach out, always reach out. Don't ever give up.
Okay, thank you.
I see 2 hands raised. So I'm going to pronounce your name wrong. Gianna, is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, thank you. I was just wondering how remote work or hybrid work has impacted these programs. Are they going to be like fully in person, or is it still kind of up in the air?
Yeah, anyone else can jump in. So this past summer, of course, there was more of a hybrid mix, but we have returned to the office. It's more so based on kind of team. So there is kind of a hybrid mix more so in the full-time capacity. So maybe it has a 1 day a week kind of work remote, but there's more of a collaborative nature now moving towards taking those safety precautions to make sure that everyone is safe. More of an in-person for 2022 when we talk about co-ops, interns, or full-time roles, but it could be virtual and in person based on the team, but heavily more so on the in-person side.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, I think it was,
Oh,
yes, JC.
okay. Hey, well, first, I hope all y'all have a great day, and I appreciate y'all taking y'all time just to speak with us and just inform us overall. I was asking a question. I'm a senior at State, obviously, or the cybersecurity major. I'm going to computer information systems, and I was wondering. I was looking at the IT positions and IT internship position, and it wasn't online. I was wondering, were y'all going to post it online soon? Were y'all going to send a link or anything? I have a referral within Delta, and he's been trying to get me connected with somebody in the IT department. And so I'm just wondering, what are the next steps for me to go from here? I graduate in December. I'm not sure if I said that.
Yeah, so let us double check. It should be there by the end of the day. So it's sorry if it's not there now, but all the roles should be posted, the careers as well as Handshake for Georgia State by the end of the day.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And also, one last question. For the internship roles, is this for the summer or is this for this upcoming January?
So we have both in IT. We have summer interns in from June to August, and then we also have co-op opportunities starting in January with the second rotation in August. So we have both.
So although I had although I'm graduating in December, would I still be eligible for the co-op? I thought that was something more so for college students.
No, so you have to be enrolled in school to participate as an intern or a co-op. So you cannot have graduated, more so on full-time opportunities if you're graduating.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem. Oh, and I think see Mincy, I think you had your hand up as well.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that was kind of the point I was leaning towards. I'm a computer information systems major, data analytics focused. But I graduate in December as well. So I was just trying to see if there was the summer program or if there's any opportunity for, the graduating in December students.
So you would have to be enrolled in school to be a part of the intern of the co-op program with IT. But we can follow with Muriel and team for our contact information if you see anything you're interested in from a full-time standpoint within the IT area.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you so much.
Of course. I see we have quite a few hands now. Henry? You're on mute.
Hey, Andrea, I think you kind of answered the question. I'm graduating in the spring of 2022, and I was interested in doing the internship in the summer. How would that work out?
So if you are graduating in May, the internship would start summer of 2022. So there is the opportunity to potentially do a spring co-op opportunity at Delta in January, but also just looking at full-time opportunities since you're graduating in May.
Okay, and how is a co-op different from internship?
So the co-op is more of an alternating opportunity. So there might be a chance to maybe do just one rotation, but typically it's alternating. So an internship is typically in the summer, it's one summer versus a co-op. There could be potentially 2 to 3 rotational opportunities within the program.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. There was a question I saw in the chat around the STAR method. And so I know for the interviews that are actually within the next couple of months, Jennifer Bertice will love to kind of talk through that STAR method that's used or to interview.
Yeah, I don't have the STAR method with me, but I think typically it's you sort of talk through what the question asks. So if it's like, oh, tell me of a time there was a problem in a group project or something. And so you sort of talk about the issue, and you really want to talk about, how you got to the problem, whether you got to a solution or not, and how you got to that solution. I don't know what else I'm missing, Andrea. What else goes with that?
Maybe I can just add a little bit more to that. And Jennifer, you're right on. The key way, when you think about the STAR method, what we're really looking at is, you have different aspects of your recruitment. One aspect is, do you have the core requirements? Are you going to be a graduate? Do you have the particular specifics that we need? Now, if you have all of that, the next thing we want to look at is how well are you a fit for that job? And that's where the STAR requirement comes in. We're trying to see how well you fit. So now, depending on the job, each of the STAR questions might be, are we looking for a leader? Are we looking for someone who is good with teamwork? Are we looking for someone with integrity? So we're going to come up with questions around each of those soft skills that we're looking for. And our expectation is for each of those core skills, we now want to look at the way we're going to approach it is you're going to have to give us a situation. So say, for example, we're looking for leadership skills. We're going to say, okay, give me a situation where you've had to exhibit the skills of a leader. That's where the S comes from. And then, of course, what happened? And how did you react to it? So the whole aspect of the star is just taking you through, walking you through that process, just to see, where did you exhibit the skill? Can you give us this particular situation? And what happened in that situation? How did you react? How did it end? So it's more taking you through the life cycle of each of those scenarios to be able to see those soft skills in you. Do you have those skills? How well did you exhibit those skills in the past? And how do we see you being able to exhibit those skills in the future? So that's kind of a little bit of the core behind the STAR approach.
Thank you, Najim.
Yeah, and then Maria has, as part of the career services team, has a really great tips on how to use the STAR method in your interview. So definitely work with your career center as well. One thing I did see about CSAs and graduates. So for the CSA and the finance programs, it is catered towards juniors. So for the interns, you must be a junior, as the goal is to convert into a full-time role at the end of the summer. For IT and sales, you can be a sophomore or a junior for that internship program. For the analyst programs for CSA and finance, it's for those who have graduated either May of 2021, December 2021, or May 2022 for the analyst roles. But for the internship, you have to be enrolled in school at the time of the program. But for the analyst roles are those who are graduating this year in 2021, as well as May of 2022. I see a couple hands. So Yasmin?
Hi. My question was about the STAR format, and I was curious if you guys were moving away from that, but I don't think so by your answer. And my other question was, I have applied for several roles unsuccessfully. So is there any advice you could give, to me about helping my resume actually getting in front of a hiring manager?
Yeah, and everyone definitely chime in. So I think for the STAR method, I think it's more so a way to frame your responses. So you are concise and have all of the details needed to answer the question. So I think it's just a really great framework in how you think through your responses. For your resume, I would definitely say highlight all your transferable or applicable skills. Doesn't matter if you haven't had traditional internship or opportunities. If you've had traditional jobs, if you've led a class project in one of your core classes, if you are a leader in one of your organizations, if you've done some community service, put all that on your resume. And when you really think and look at the role that you're applying for, look at the skills that you have and see where can you apply some of the things that you've done in class and community service and some of your organizations that would be applicable to that opportunity, and really focus on the skills that you have, not necessarily where you got them from, but the skills that you have. Because I think that's what we're really trying to look for if we're looking at a resume. If we hadn't had a chance to have a conversation with you first, that's one of the things that we're really looking for. Can you highlight those skills and how would it apply to the role that you're interviewing for? And sometimes it means having different resumes. So if you're applying for finance, if you're applying for IT, if you're applying for sales, you might want to have a different resume depending on what type of, what are the skills, what are the projects that the job description is really highlighting, so you can really focus on those areas to get noticed. But also taking the time now, we kind of have your name now, so if we see your application, can definitely make sure that it's reviewed. And if you have any follow-up questions, as next steps for the hiring manager.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Swati, am I saying that correctly?
Yes, hi, good afternoon. Absolutely. That sounds perfect. My question is regarding the HR rotational programs. Do you have any programs for human resources?
So as of now, we have a co-op program for HR versus an internship. So the internship program is kind of being built. Because of COVID, it was halted. And so the program is looking to be rebuilt potentially for next year. But there's a co-op program for the spring, if interested, and that role should be posted by the end of the week. But HR is looking to build out programs similar to the Commercial Strategy and Finance programs.
Great. So when the role would be posted, it would be posted on Handshake?
Correct.
Great. I'll keep an eye out. Thank you so much, Andrea.
No problem. Kevin and then Grace.
Hey, Andrea, how are you guys doing? So I'm a graduate student at Georgia State right now and studying data science and analytics. Before that, I've nearly 2 years experience of analytics, so data analytics. So I saw on the job opportunity at Delta, and they got a lot of like job related with data analytics, and I'm very interested to apply for it. But my question is like with applying directly in Delta Airlines for the data analytics job, do they do visa sponsorship in the future or no?
So for most of our opportunities, you do have to be authorized to work in the US. There are certain opportunities that might be open to providing sponsorship, but you have to read the job description to take a look to see if they do or not. So the job description would be the first indicator, but most of our intern or analyst roles, you have to be authorized to work in the US.
Like even, so I know that I can, after I graduate, I can work in the US because I have the work authorization. So is that still counts as like work authorization?
If you have work authorization, then you would potentially be eligible, but take a look at the job descriptions to see, because it'll highlight it in the qualifications, whether or not is required. So I would take a look at those and then make sure you're applying for those opportunities.
Okay, yeah, I will double check and then, okay, yeah, I will double check and make sure that if there's like indication of they don't want to sponsor or not, because I think mostly when I search is they don't indicate it, but when I say, oh, I need to apply, I need sponsorship in the future, they just directly, the website, the career site automatically say that, oh, I'm not selected to advance.
Yeah, so I would to see, because there's constantly roles being posted, especially within the IT and analytics space.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you.
No problem. Grace?
Hi. My name is Grace, and I am a finance major, and I'm going to be graduating in May of 2022. And I think that in finance, like as a senior, I'm facing this issue where finance is such a broad topic, and there's so many different places and niches that you can get into. And so I think my question is more for Najim. Within the BBA program, when students first get in there, I know that there are so many different sectors that you can go into. And I was wondering if there was a specific one in your opinion that you find is more like dynamic and engaging that people kind of lean towards. Like, is it investor relations or planning, like financial planning, stuff like that?
Okay, I think, let me first start with, I think you had the right premise by saying finance is broad, depending on really what you love to do. I'll tell you, I spent most of my career in treasury. Treasury covers capital markets, cash management, foreign exchange, risk management. That's one aspect, because there you're really neck deep more in liquidity. How do I, the funds are here, what do I do with the funds? And then of course you get involved in going out to the bond market, you go out to the commercial paper market to get money. So I've been more involved in the liquidity aspect, which is more most of the treasury hands. Now again, the financial control are the other areas that you could get involved in. In financial control, you get to do a lot more finance related accounting aspects, where, for example, how do you categorize the funding? And what do you do with the funding? How do you align them? Now, one of the few questions I always first ask, because most people that come in, they always tell me, oh yeah, I have an idea of what I want to do. And then they sit down there and they start the work and they realize it's a little different from what they were thinking. So I always say, you know what, just come on in, find out which areas are open, first of all, because again, it depends also on which of the finance areas actually have a need at that point in time. Some areas might have enough hands, some areas they don't have enough resources, so they're really looking for people to work in. So I would say come in, because remember, you have 2 rotations to work this out. Wherever you start does not necessarily mean that's where you're going to spend most of your career. So what I would say is, wherever is open, take it. By the time you start your first rotation, you start to get a feel for Delta, and you have enough chance to even be able to do shadows around the different areas of finance to see what you like the best. And you could try to put the word out there that for your second rotation, that's what you would like to do. Or if you don't even have that for your second rotation, by the time you finish the first 2 rotations, you have the chance to bid for a job in any of the specific areas that you really, really do like. So I would say don't start out by limiting yourself to just one area of finance. Wherever area is open, take it. And then from there, you could find your way to the other areas of finance. One way or the other, they're all linked. It's all the same basic skill sets, analytics, written work, attention to details, basic accounting skills. They're all the same basics, irrespective of which area you decide to spend your time on.
Thank you so much. That was really helpful.
Yeah, and I'll also say, adding on to that, don't necessarily have experience on the finance side, but something that's really helped me on the commercial strategy side is that, I let my managers know if there's anything that I'm interested in, if there are certain teams that I'm interested in, and as projects come up where there might be cross collaboration, they'll know, oh, Jennifer's told me that she's wanted to have a little bit more experience in this set, so maybe she can do this project, right? Or you could do different shadow opportunities with analysts, and letting your leaders know, hey, I might be interested in this, or I don't know, after this rotation where I want to go to. You'll get a lot more help that way. And the big thing that I tell analysts when they first come in is have an open mind. You don't know whether you're going to like network planning or revenue management or a certain division within finance, right? But having an open mind, the experience is only going to help you, and you're only going to get, skill sets and, experience in different projects that you can put on your resume and are going to help you for that next job, next rotation.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. So I know we're coming close to time. I see 2 hands raised. If you wouldn't mind writing your question in the chat, and then what we'll do is work with Marielle and team to make sure your questions are answered and we get back to you before the end of the day. But what I did want to do is just leave parting words from our panelists to kind of just advice as you're matriculating, either graduating or kind of continuing on as a sophomore or junior and interested at Delta. Just one piece of advice you would give to the students.
Yeah, I'll start. I think for me, it kind of goes back to what Andrea was saying of having different resumes for the different roles that you want to apply to. Really look through the job description and look through the little keywords that you see for the IT role versus the global sales role versus the finance, and make sure that your resume really hones into those type of skills that we're looking for the particular jobs.
Yep. No, great advice. And I would say to start with your resume, make sure it's a fit, because once it's not, then you don't even have the chance to move on. But then above and beyond the resume, I would say also research the company you're trying to get into. If you're interested in Delta, find out more about Delta. That's going to help you in the interview process. I've seen people come in and they have no idea about what Delta does. And that's surprising. So make sure you do your research about the company. Make sure you find, like you said, make sure your resume lines up. And then more than anything else, prepare yourself. Just prepare. You could never over prepare. Once the resume is there, you want to interview for a particular role, get a friend, test out, think through, just like we talked about the style area, think through different questions about soft skills. When have you had opportunities to be a leader, to show certain skill sets that you think is going to be needed for your job that you want to? Practice, practice, practice. So that when you have that one chance to do the interview, you get it right. Thank you.
Yeah.
So one thing sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, I'll just echo kind of what Andrea said and Jennifer, like having multiple resumes is a major key, but also like saying how you made your role better or like what you did. Like don't just say like, oh, I was responsible for this. Like say like how you improved results or like what you generated, because that's what people want to see. Also like if you're applying to Delta, anywhere you spell out Delta name, just a heads up, we spell our name Delta Airlines, and airlines is 2 words. So like it's something super small that like most people probably would miss, but it makes a difference, like knowing and noticing that we spell it differently and then you spelling it correctly. And then the last thing I'll say to this point is like know your research, do your research about a company. So Delta is a publicly traded company. We have a lot of information out there. Like I would say like go read some of the beginning pages of our 10K so you can learn about our other businesses. You can learn about risk to our businesses, our competitors, things like that. And also if you have time, like go check out our earnings call or like see what our leaders are talking about and communicating externally, because we're in a crazy time right now where the business is constantly shifting to what's going on. So staying up to date on what we're communicating will really help you shine in the interview.
So the last thing that I'll add, all of those are definitely great, but one other thing that I'll add is personality, because there are a lot of positions in Delta. There's a lot of people applying for Delta, and a lot of times it's the personality that will shine through, that's memorable, that will get you that job. So make sure not only just everything that everyone talked about, but also this personality, let your personality shine through.
Awesome. So I think it's been a really great conversation. We thank you so much for the questions, and any additional that comes through, Maryland team will let us know. We'll make sure we can get you those responses. We hope that you apply to our opportunities, and for one of the good things is, you came to the session today, so we can put you as part of the slate and hopefully reviewed by the managers, and you take the advice that the team has given today. But if you have any questions, connect on LinkedIn, and we'll be circling back with the career services team on any follow-ups. But again, thank you, and we appreciate you taking the time to chat with us.
All right, thank you everyone. It's pretty good conversation.